nervous system at the same time.
I saw that yesterday.
Yes. So she teaches it here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and there on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and we used to just have one of these. And so I just let her have it so she could teach the anatomy, but now she got a second one. So now I can use it too. All right, the sympathetic division. The first thing that I want you to think about is the survival component of the sympathetic division. So let's say I do live, on 30 acres of woods, backed by hundreds of acres of woods, and I'm told that there's black bear out there. I haven't seen any yet, but supposedly they're there. All right, so let's say the bear rears up and it charges at me. Now, what would happen if, a bear is running at me? I better dilate my pupils so that I can bring in more light so I don't trip over its cubs when I run. And I'll turn off my digestive tract because I don't need my stomach when I'm running. I should increase my heart rate so I get more oxygen to my skeletal muscles, and constrict blood vessels and shunt blood to the skeletal muscles so I can run better. We'll turn off the insulin so I can have sugar in my blood so I can keep running. And when we constricted the blood vessels, just in case that bear swipes me across the back, that way my blood will clot. I'll dilate the bronchioles, the smooth muscles around my bronchioles, so I can get more oxygen as I run from the bear. All right, what has happened in the meantime? I have been eaten by the bears. So the survival component of the sympathetic requires something called mass activation. Both the anatomy and the physiology of the sympathetic system is about turning on everything with one switch. We turn on all the organs simultaneously. So that's what you have to think about in terms of the anatomy, that it has all of these things set up. The adrenal medulla, the way that these neurons are branched. There's going to be some splenic nerves also. Okay, I've got 2 minutes.
I'm just sleepy.
Oh, okay, so you're just saying, I thought you were getting ready to run from the bear.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's all about activating the entire body all at once. The parasympathetic doesn't do this because there is no survival advantage to suddenly rest and digest. So that's why the anatomy is quite a bit different. Okay, we've got the thermoregulatory and metabolic effects, so it's even working even when you're not in fight or flight. So let's talk about that anatomy. And I wanted you to look at this model because the preganglionic neuron is very short coming out to the ganglia. These are called the paravertebral chain of ganglia. Para means alongside the vertebrae. It's a chain of ganglia, so there's little ganglia all the way down the thing. This is sympathetic. So coming out from T1 down to, I think it's L2 or L3, these are coming out, and this is where the ganglia are for the sympathetic, on either side of the vertebrae. So remember, this is ventral. The vertebral body is ventral, and the aorta is right here, running up and down, just to get you oriented. I don't know if it helps, we'll pass that around. You just saw it, so I'll skip you. So, what you're seeing as you look at that model, the neurons for the sympathetic are coming out of the lateral horn, ventral root to the spinal nerve. Now, when they get to the spinal nerve, they do an exit along the white rami communicantes. It means it's myelinated. Till we get to the ganglion, synapse on the postganglionic neuron, which gets back on the spinal nerve road via the gray rami communicantes. It's gray because it has no myelin. And then goes out the spinal nerve to the rest of the body. So there's this little exit ramp, entrance ramp thing going on. And that's what you see as you look at that model. So here's a drawing, it's L2, right? There's the drawing of the same thing, only now we have the aorta. So now you can see it a little bit better. Here are the splenic nerves. Notice that the aorta is wrapped in a mesh of sympathetic nerves. that are putting out neurotransmitters to get the aorta to immediately respond and cause all of these organs to respond immediately. So that's what those splenic nerves are doing. And there's an artist's drawing. So there's the paravertebral ganglia right there. Here's our, well, actually these are preganglionic that come out and form ganglia actually on the aorta and wrap the aorta so that blood supply is affected going to all of the various organs. And then that brings us to the adrenal medulla. So the sympathetic is predominantly, if we're talking about the postganglionic, they are predominantly putting out norepi, at the synapses. And those synapses are all the way down the length of the axon. But let's make sure, we gotta get all the tissues. All the tissues have to respond. Just in case somebody missed the message, let's dump epinephrine directly into the blood. So this is epi into the blood, where it now distributes to every cell so that every cell gets the message we need to run from the bear. Dumping epinephrine in the blood, that's called a neurohormone. It acts like a hormone because it's carried in the blood, but it's coming from a neuron. So that distinguishes it from the endocrine system. And so then that travels throughout the blood to stimulate everything else. So the adrenal medulla is mostly putting out epinephrine. The postganglionic neurons are mostly putting out norepinephrine. Okay, questions about that? Maybe you have to process it a little bit. So I know that on our schedule we're a little behind, but we will get caught up on Tuesday, because Tuesday's lab we start the endocrine system, and there's not really a good animal-friendly version of things we can do to illustrate the endocrine system. So for the first endocrine lab, I typically just have y'all do a worksheet. So we can use that lab then to introduce you to the endocrine system, so we can go ahead and finish the autonomic nervous system on Tuesday. And so then your homework 9 is not due until that Thursday when you have your test. So I got a plan. I was thinking it while I was driving it, because I got so long to drive. It's like, okay, I'm really running behind. What am I gonna do? Oh, that's right, I have that whole lab time. Yay. All right, well, have a good spring break. Don't forget to spring forward with your clock. So when I see you next Tuesday, it's as though we're meeting at 8 instead of 9.